Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, wherever you are in the country. Welcome to the OVC Recruiting and Developing Peer Recovery Coaches Training Session. My name is Corey Balagoon, and I'm the OVC Performance Management Team's TTA Specialist. Joined by my task lead, Virginia Ward Proctor. She'll be here helping us out today. Virginia, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Harif. Hi, everyone. As Harif said, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you all for taking the time to be here with us today. We are very excited to talk to you and provide just some information and guidance around the subrecipient performance measures. So Harif has several slides and some key guidance points that we wanted to share with you all just based on past experience, questions we've received, issues that have been addressed in the past. But if you have any questions throughout this training or even after this training, you can feel free to reach to us or put it in the chat, or at the end we will have a brief Q&A session if you just want to come off mute and ask any questions of either of us. So thank you again.
Thank you, Virginia. So as you said, we're just gonna, first I'll give you a brief overview of our PMT team, and then we'll go into a bit about the importance of OVC performance measure reporting, and then we'll also go into the key points of your specific measures, and then close out with a brief Q&A and let you know reach out to us if you have any more questions after our session. So again, I'm a part of the OVC Performance Management Team. We have a couple of data analysts, Aubrey Sneesby, Maribel Hernandez, and James MacArthur on the help desk, who will reach out to should you have any questions. Likely first line of contact for our team is through the help desk, and our specialist Daniel Pavlik, our systems expert Liz Wayne, is also a very big help. Any questions that I can't answer, I go right to Liz, and she always has it. And then as you can see, we're all led by Virginia. So should you have any questions, any concerns, there's a number of ways that we can support you throughout the duration of your subaward life cycle. So you can contact us with questions about a measure. Maybe you don't quite understand it, or you're not sure the best way to respond to it. Happy to assist you with that. You can also schedule a welcome session for any new staff members, anyone that needs to be acclimated to the to your grant, your project. You can also reach out to me, and I'm happy to schedule a one-on-one session with you and your team via WebEx to screen share, review your reports. It's best to assist you with reporting, and also you can send any questions, comments, suggestions that you may have to the help desk for to address any concerns. And also the OVC website is a great resource. I'll put that in the chat. I believe it's on the final slide, but I'll put that in the chat as well at the end. If you go to the OVC website, navigate to JBS measures page, would be a great way to if you need extra copies of the PDF into which you'll be reporting. You can find that on the website, as well as the OVC resource dictionary and a ton of other resources. And we can go into the importance of the performance measure data that you'll be reporting. So data is really only one piece of the story. But it does help paint a compelling story about how many victims are being served and how as well. So OVC uses that data, and it flows up to reach national audiences from Congress to the general public, all types of different stakeholders. Your work, helps to make these reports possible, and it's the basis for how respected OVC is, and we receive data requests from Congress, from state governments, just to demonstrate how important this work is, how important these funds are as well. And some examples of the data analyses include program reports, topical snapshots, and different ways that we collect data and send it to these stakeholders. Okay. And now we'll get into the question sets that you'll be answering. So this is a list of the question sets that you, as sub-grantees, will be responding to as it pertains to data collected from activities that are funded by your subawards. Any activity completed from other funding sources should not be included in the data that you respond to. So if you have other grants from different agencies, if it's internal funding, no data or no activities, should be reported into this into the PDF that you'll be submitting to JBS. It's important to keep those data sets separate as best as you can. And there are two types of questions that you'll be responding to. There are quantitative reporting questions, so the standard performance measure data about OVC funded activities that were completed during the reporting period, and then also narrative questions as well. So these are open-ended questions that you can respond to highlight accomplishments, struggles, and everything in between as it relates to your program goals, activities, and anything else that might impact your program progress. So in the first question of each and the first question that you'll answer each reporting period is, is this the last reporting period during which you will have data to enter? And that's typically going to be determined by your award end date. But in the case, if you do expend all of your grant funds early, then you might be closing out your award earlier than expected. And then also the second question will be, during that period, was there any program activity? And as you can see here, program activity is defined by any activity that's funded by this specific award. Again, not including any other external funding or any other internal funding. And then in the training question set, you'll be reporting on data pertaining to training activities, again, funded by the grant during the period. So this includes events that you hosted, coordinated, attended, whether they're in person, virtual, anything that's, supported again by these grant funds. And you'll provide data on the amount of trainings scheduled and conducted, the number and types of attendees who attended and completed the trainings, and the numbers of hours of training as well. And training differs from technical assistance in that training is usually intended for multiple audience types and not customized for a single group. The baseline question and some guidance points as well for that training question set. You'll be asked a baseline question at the start of your reporting. So in that question, you'll respond with the number of hours of training that you provided in the previous 3 months prior to your award start date. This is important just as a way to measure the progress the progress or change in the training that you provided prior to receiving this funding. And just be sure to count the number of training sessions and not conflate that with the hours. So in the third bullet, you can see, two 1-hour trainings, or I'm sorry, I misspoke. Be sure to differentiate between the hours of training and the numbers of trainings themselves. So if you have 2 separate 1-hour training sessions, that would be reported as 2 hours of training, but one single training itself. Hopefully that wasn't confusing at all. And the next question set will be pertains to data gathering. So these data gathering resources are defined as literature, reviews, needs, assessments, gap analyses, toolkits as well. So you report each quarter, on the number of these data gathering initiatives that were completed. And as you can see here, the goal of this is to, produce these resources to, extol out to, produce these resources that improve the delivery of services to crime victims. And some more and additional guidance points. So you'll report on these initiatives during the quarter, and you'll report when the gathering is completed, fully finalized and approved. Oftentimes, it takes time to develop. So if you report zeros, that's not uncommon at all. And again, it's important to be sure of how you're counting the resources. So again, in the last bullet, you would count 25 copies of one toolkit given out as one resource disseminated. The next question set pertains to collaborative partnerships. So this set of questions asks about grantee activities to establish or maintain partnerships during the reporting period. The goal is to support the development of national scope, training, and technical assistance demonstration projects, multimedia publications, and other initiatives through collaboration with other government and nonprofit agencies. This includes both grant-funded and non-grant funded partners. So they can agencies that utilize evidence-based program or practice in their services. And additional guidance points, organizations that were actively involved, they should be reported here. This also includes any organizations that were engaged prior to the start of your project, but after your funding, they continue to be involved. Sorry, not too fast. And for the other shared measures, training and technical assistance. So training and technical assistance measures. Technical assistance differs from training in that it's customized for the needs of a particular group providing services of some kind. So this set of questions ask about TA activities that occurred during the reporting period that were again part of the grant funding. So you'll provide data on the number of new TTA materials completed during the period, as well as the types of materials completed during the period. And these materials, they may include resources that were finalized during the period, webinars, guidebooks, FAQ documents, anything that, again, by definition, by definition, is for a larger group of attendees. For partnerships, you'll report information on collaboration agreements and letters of support, again, funded through part of the agreement. So letters of support, they lend organizational support but do not commit funding and resources. So you report on the number of new letters of support received from partners and the number of new formalized agreements that are also developed. So these may include MOUs, tribal resolutions, sub-grants, as long as they're signed by an individual who has the authority to commit resources and support. Any activities, you'll report on the number of activities undertaken. These may include task force creation, development of interagency committees, advisory groups. And the number of, and then in terms of policy and procedural changes, a number of policies that were amended, created, or rescinded during the period. And again, this is just, to reiterate, as long as these policies and procedures are relevant to your project and affect program operations, then they should be included. So the previous measures were all quantitative, and now we're getting into the qualitative semi-annual narrative questions. These are asked twice a year in January and in July. And again, they're just open-ended, open-ended responses composed of anything that you want to highlight about your project and your progress, any challenges. There's really no wrong answers here. So anything that may have positively or negatively affected your progress, a good way to think about it is if your grant manager walked in and asked how things are going. Just anything that you would include in that type of response is more than likely a good point to include into these questions. So maybe staffing issues, or maybe you are able to support a large group of victims, and or one of your staff members were. Just anything open-ended, anything that you want to include. Respond to those questions in January and July, as I mentioned, and they'll cover the previous 6 months of your grant activity. So in July, anything you include in this response should reflect work conducted in January and June. And then in January, you'll include any progress or challenges that occurred from July to December. Again, just contact information, as I mentioned. The help desk will be your first line of contact for us. You can contact the help desk by this number anytime between 8:30 and 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday to Friday, as well by my email, at the OVC PMT at usdoj.gov. And then again, the website that I mentioned earlier, go to the OVC website and then go to JBS performance measures. You'll again see copies of the fillable PDF, recorded trainings, the OVC dictionary, anything that you might need to support your grant program. And I did go through that a little quickly, so I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have, anything that wasn't clear, any challenges you feel you may have upcoming. Anything that you can think of. Feel free to put it in the chat, or Heather, I'm not sure if you're comfortable having attendees unmute themselves.
Yeah, sure. If you'd like to
well.
unmute yourself and ask your question, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Frank Sharman from the Volusia Recovery Alliance. I have a quick question.
Hey, Frank. Yeah.
So in regards to like the documenting like the research materials and curriculums we're using for the trainings, I just wanted to just clarify. From what I was under the impression of, it's we're expanding the peer workforce for family recovery support peers, and there was a curriculum being developed by, I believe, JBS, and it was given to us, and that's the one curriculum we follow. I'm not sure what others that are being referred to as far as like referencing any other materials we're using for training to make sure they're evidence-based. I thought it was one curriculum. It's going to be given to, it's being developed currently. It's going to be given to us, and that's the one we need to stick to. I guess I'm just clarifying that.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm not sure.
Karen, do you want to?
I can take that. It is true, Frank, that we will be developing the the curriculum to add the family-centered piece to the training, but also, you know, many of the sites, we are not providing the basic PRS or PRC, whichever you call them, certification. And so any training, any additional training that you might do with your peer recovery staff to expand their skills or get their basic certification, you can report that training as well in your reports.
Okay, completely understood now. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, because we have trained facilitators that host a core training that's already like Florida Certification Board approved. So that's what it's referring to, like to supplement with the family curriculum in addition to.
Absolutely, because you're training your recovery coaches, not only the basic certification, but you may have additional trainings that you want to provide them. And so you can report all of that training for that workforce.
Wonderful, because we also have RAP facilitators, wellness recovery action plan, things like that. So great.
Great.
That clears up. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I can add something too. And again, this sometimes it applies to individual projects, sometimes it doesn't. But other trainings that we've seen organizations provide in similar programs are training community members or community partners in the projects that they're implementing and the work that they're doing. Sometimes that is an effort that your team may be putting forth. And so if you are, and it's part of this, and you're educating or training folks in the community around this work, that's other training that you may count here as well. But again, it does not apply to every organization, right? And so again, if you're not providing that type of training, it's totally okay that you're not.
And let me add one more thing.
Yeah.
As part of your expansion of this workforce, you may be training partner peer recovery coaches in the family-centered piece, and so you can report those as well, because that is the curriculum specific to this project. And so if you're training other community PRCs, that's increasing your community capacity, you would report those as well.
Yes, Destiny?
Yes, I just wanted to get clarification. So here at RS Eden, we have a PRS team. So in this reporting, I would include training for the family specific PRS as well as the rest of the team, correct?
You wouldn't necessarily, if you train them on the PRC, you would, but if you're training, for instance, you're a recovery community organization, it's part of your business to train all these folks. You know, what we're talking about is increasing capacity for the peer recovery coaches. So if you're hiring specific workforce for this, or you're training your existing workforce on this additional training, then you would count those. But we're not talking about training everybody who comes through your doors. For instance, that's part of the way you do business. But if it's related to this initiative, then you would count all of those folks.
Yeah,
Sounds
well
good.
said,
Thank
Karen.
you.
And one of the things that Harith mentioned earlier, which was a great way to sort of help folks determine if they should count it, is, are the resources from this award, right, being used to provide this training? And if they are, then absolutely you want to count it. If it's not, and if it's like what Karen said, if it's business as usual, part of our regular operations that's not specific to this award, then we wouldn't necessarily count those.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. Again, that's really the best way to remember, to remember and differentiate which activities you're going to report on, because having multiple sources of funding can kind of muddy the waters in a bit. So yeah, just keeping track of which activities, what data are coming from which funding streams will be helpful. Any other questions? questions or concerns, anything that was unclear, any slides I should go back to.
I have additional
definitely let me
questions.
know.
Will there be like a template provided to us shortly for us to kind of get used to what it'll look like with specific dates of when certain information is due?
Yes, there will be. We have a fillable PDF that contains all of the questions that you'll be asked to report on. And we also have a guidance document that will be sent out with that very.
Wonderful, thank you.
This is Kyra from Wisconsin. And I had the same kind of question that I think is in the chat with Megan. Is there this seems to relate primarily to the specialized training that's being developed that we report on. Is there any reporting on the services that we provide to the individuals as a result of by the trained peer recovery coaches? So the victims part of this, is that, can you answer that?
Yeah, and I'm happy
Hi
to
there.
fill this one if you'd like. You know, it's not one of the required questions for this specific initiative, and so you will not have to complete any detailed data collection related to the direct services. One of the things that we found with other initiatives, again, not specific to this one, is that, you know, because grantees may collect that data already, they may report some of that during those semi-annual narratives to just give some additional context of, you know, what services are being delivered or supported through the initiative. But again, it's not a required question bank. You know, the form that we use, there's a section specific to victim services, but again, that question bank is not required for this. So yes, you're correct. There is no requirement there. If folks already have that data or choose to collect that data and want to report it somewhere, the semi-annual narratives would be a good place to provide that information if you'd like.
Thank you. That's helpful. Very helpful.
Thanks, Carlos. Yeah, it's a great point. Semi-annual narrative, you can throw anything you want in there. It's you know, you know, it's just anything you want to highlight, because it's not just open-ended text. You can put numbers in there as well. But yeah, it's your playground essentially. Any other questions?
Hi, Harif. This is Karen again, and I'm sorry we just waylaid the presentation and conversation, but just
no
so
problem.
everybody knows, if you ever have any questions, and you may have more questions when you begin to fill out your first report, particularly, don't hesitate to reach out to us and ask us. We can, you know, you've got the PMT help desk as well. But we're always open to, you know, trying to help you get any questions answered. So don't hesitate at any time to reach out either to the OVC PMT help desk or to JBS to say, we have a question. Can you get us an answer for that? We will help you at any time.
Thank you, Karen. I was just about to say that you stole my thunder, and so I'll just sort of echo that. You know, the first time folks have to do this reporting, there's a lot of questions, and so that's very normal. And oftentimes they don't come up until you get into it, right? And so, like Karen said, don't hesitate to reach out. There's no stupid questions. You know, sometimes folks, you know, will start to look at their activities that they propose within a project, and then start to align them into these different categories. And so we're helpful. We're thankful. We're definitely able to provide that kind of support. We would welcome it. And so again, don't ever feel like you're on your own to figure things out. Please ask questions. Please reach out, and we're happy to facilitate those conversations and provide the support.
I had one more question, if that's all right. So with other OJP funding, we report in Just Grants. What platform will we be using to report these measures on?
Yeah, great question. So as Heather mentioned earlier, we'll be sending out the fillable PDF, and because JBS is the awardee, it's our responsibility to submit all of those things into Just Grants and the PMT system. And so really, you'll just be emailing your data reports, your fillable PDF is what you'll send. You'll send it via email to the peer recovery coach's inbox. And then it will be our responsibility to get that submitted into the system. So in reality, you all will not have any interface with the submission systems that are used.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a great question, because I'm sure a few of you might have awards from other OJP resources or even other OVC awards as well. So yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, it can be very confusing reporting, the PMT, Just Grants, and then now having this PDF. So yeah. Any other questions? If not, yeah, we're about 20 minutes ahead of the scheduled end time. So I'm happy to stay on if any questions pop up. But Heather, not sure if you want to let people drop if they need to, or but again, I'm happy to hang around until 2.
Thank you very much, Harif. This was a great introduction to PMT.
Yeah, of course. And again, as Karen and Carlos both mentioned, yeah, you can reach out to the help desk. But again, I want to stress, if you want personalized, half-hour session, be in contact the help desk and request that. And yeah, get sent to me and my team, and we'll happily, happily go on WebEx, do a screen share, and assist you any way we can.
Frank asked, when will the first deliverable/data report be due? We will ask for those in early July, and throughout the remainder of July, we will work with you for our team to check. And if there are anything that's unclear, anything that we need revisions on, then we would be in touch with you before the submission period at the end of July. That will all be included in the guidance that we're sending. Well, thank you everybody for your time today. We appreciate you carving the time out to talk to us about PMT data. Like I said, more information will be forthcoming within the next few days. So be on the lookout for that and reach out to us or reach out to the OVC PMT team for any questions that you might have that might come up along the way. Frank, PMT data will be collected on a quarterly basis, alternating between that the quantitative data only and the semi-annual with the narrative questions. So it's on a quarterly / semi-annual, depending on which questions you're looking at. But there will be something to report each quarter. And in terms of payments, we collect invoices on a monthly basis, typically. All right, thank you very much again, everyone. I will be closing this out if nobody has any more questions. Oh, Frank, the information will be included as the agreements are sent out. So those are moving now. You should be receiving something very soon. All right, thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.